Monster Hunter Now was good, but then it became great. Oh yes, my fellow hunters, hello and welcome to my review and breakdown of Monster Hunter Now. Now officially released properly and everywhere. You're probably wondering to yourself, is it good? Is it worth it? Why is my voice being represented in an echoey void? And I'm here to answer all of those questions. First and foremost then, does it do a good job of capturing what it both feels like and is to hunt monsters in a Monster Hunter game? Yeah, resoundingly, absolutely, and completely it does. The actual moment-to-moment gameplay, and I'm gonna say this now so I don't have to keep saying it throughout this little talk here, for a mobile game, is really surprisingly well done. Visually, it's very pretty. It looks very much worldy, but with a bit more of the saturation up, and fits well for a mobile game. It's unavoidable, isn't it? And I don't like saying it because it implies that inherently mobile by nature is worse than anything else, and I think that's a stigma that is oft applied, and one that isn't always fair, as there are some real gems. There's a lot of predatory messes too, but that's a conversation we'll arrive at a little bit later on, though to give you a little bit of a jump ahead and allay potentially any fears, this game is not one of those as it currently stands. In any case, visually it is very much on point. The monsters look good, the weapons look good, and the hunter looks good. The actual attacks are just straight out of Monster Hunter World, as are the literal weapons too, so if you didn't like bits on sticks there, they are here, but that's not Monster Hunter Now's fault. But everything else just feels like you're playing Monster Hunter World, or at least its essence captured in quite literally the palm of your hand. You simply tap the screen in various combinations, either rapidly or held, to interact with the weapons, and you have to face down the monsters. And when it comes to doing so, it's implemented really solidly. You can't just mindlessly mash, it doesn't happen automatically. You have to use your weapon in the way that it's intended to be used. Sword and shield, blocking, and then following up with your jump up in the air combo. Again, all looking really nice and feeling weighty. Your greatsword holding down and charging. The more advanced special attacks that weapons have are represented here as literally special attacks. You fill up a meter and hit the button and you go into it. You still just can't press it whenever, because if you do it just before you get hit, you'll just get hit. But on Sword and Shield, you can do your perfect rush. On your greatsword, you can do your true charge, and it's a nice way to get to those big deal attacks that we love without having an overly complex series of inputs that wouldn't work in this format. We have just a basic nice combo that is faithful to the weapon, that works in a way that makes sense to you. If you play a weapon, you'll get it here, and I think that is one of the best things that I can say. You have monsters then that have the attacks that they're used to. They have the part breaks that you're used to, the wind-ups, the roars, the staggers. You can target individual parts of them, knock them down, trip them up. Everything that Monster Hunter is here. They flash red when they're going to attack to make the flow a little bit simpler, and then you can dodge roll left, right, forward, or back by swiping in that direction and hopefully avoid the damage. If you time it perfectly, you get a perfect dodge, which is straight out of Generation's Ultimate Hunter Arts catalog, looks and feels fantastic, and gives you a more powerful follow-up attack that is weapon-specific. Weapons-wise, you've got the greatsword, longsword, sword and shield, hammer, light bow gun, and bow, and they all have, well, everything that they have going for them. You know this if you're going into Monster Hunter Now. They play in the way that they tend to play. And monsters-wise, abilities, we have 13 of them. I won't just spoil them all if you don't already know, but you will slowly unlock them as you go through the tutorial and then the story of the game proper. Yes, there is a story, monsters, and the Monster Hunter world is dimensionally tearing into ours, and we gotta figure that out. There's some new unique characters, you've got a trusty Palico to help you out, who also ties into some mechanical stuff when we get to that, but it's not like it's crazy, it's just a light reason to be doing what you're doing. It's not really the point, is it? But to not lose the point, in terms of actual, I am hunting a monster as a hunter with my favorite weapon, it gets it. You can feel that Capcom was heavily involved in making sure that it felt like Monster Hunter, because it does. You've got the monsters that you love doing the attacks that you know. You've got the weapon that you love doing the attacks that you know. And you have got that dance back and forth. Yes, refined and simplified because it has to be, but still very much on you to make it happen. Monsters are 1-star through 5-star, getting harder and harder. And they unlock new attacks. Kulu Yaku at 1-star won't even pull his rock out the ground, but as you face higher star Kulus, he'll start to actually use that. And that's really fun to see represented. Even the monsters don't just get bigger numbers, though they do, but they do evolve more of their movesets. And given that health is your main resource for being able to play as much as you want, if you run out of it, you need to use potions to heal up and then keep hunting, and you get a supply of potions every day for free. You get unlimited while you're in the tutorial, but past that, it's buy them or wait for the next day to get another free supply. Your skill at the game and avoiding damage and killing monsters efficiently actually results in you being able to play endlessly, and you could go as far to say endlessly for free. And that's kind of neat, actually. Having a game that ties the limiting mechanic that you so often get on mobile to your abilities is really, really fun, because if you are good enough and there's no like BS, the hit zones are there, you can dodge attacks by attacking above them, jumping up into the air on longsword or sword and shield, and you know, there's no like, oh what, you know, there's no forced damage or anything along those lines, so you do have the ability to hunt endlessly by just being a badass. And that's kind of what you want from anything that has that Monster Hunter flavor. Bottom line, I have no complaints for the actual hunting itself. It has been represented both mechanically and visually perfectly for a mobile format, and it is addicting, endearing, and charming to play, and most importantly of all, it's just fun. It is fun and satisfying. The slow motion finishes, seeing everything go down, it just makes you want to hunt more. Having it as little bite-size challenges of you have a time limit to kill the monster, you get your rank for doing so, of course. You really want to master purely efficient, punishing damage output while taking 0 damage, and there is that room for growth in both the game and yourself as a player. I'm in for it. And of course, because it's the Monster Hunter experience, you've got crafting of both weapons and armor, and it works how you would imagine it does. You get the bits from killing the monsters and gathering nodes around the place as you wander around, because obviously, yes, I feel like I've not touched on it because perhaps it's obvious, but it should be said, it is Pokemon Go style. You're supposed to, you know, walk around the place while you're up and about, while you're traveling, and hunt and gather as you go. And obviously, if you just stay still in your house, etc., you're going to progress a lot slower and not have as many things to do because you're reliant on what you can reach from that stationary position. So yeah, you are intended to move and do things, and it is fun, just like Pokemon Go was at the start, to do just that. In any case, yes, you've got your weapons and your armor, and you upgrade them all 1 through 5. When you get to level 5, you then overgrade them to the next tier, then you upgrade that to level 5, then you overgrade it to the next tier, and so on and so forth. And when you do overgrade, you get access to the weapon special abilities, to that True Charge Slash if you are on Greatsword. And with the armor, you get access to armor skills, as they are here too. So yes, technically speaking, although, you know, simplified, you can have full-on builds in this game. You can have armor that resists the type of attacks the monsters are doing, the elements that they're producing. You want the weapons with the element that countered the monsters, and you want to have quite the collection, because because of that, though you can get away, or at least I have so far, just going full raw. But if you really want perfect min-maxed kill times, Element does seem to be the way, and thus encourages to have a wide upgraded weapon collection, which is of course deliberate, as that encourages, a lot more playtime and farming. In any case then, these skills work nicely. You've got just passive benefits, or something like the Kulu helmet, which once you get it to grade 2, it gives you lock-on, which when you press on a melee weapon will let you, lock on to a part of the monster to target it, either to get the break, to get the knockdown, or indeed both, and stuff like that is nice to see. That's an extra layer, right? And actually using armor skills to interact with the hunt meaningfully is something that we want, and it is represented here in a way that works. It's not overly complicated, but it is a satisfying way of rewarding proper gear and weapon choice when you go a-hunting. So on that side of things, yeah, and all the armor again is looking like it did in World, which is to say it's looking very, very good. So essentially, right, so far, we just have a solid game. The Pokemon Go-esque wandering around and doing things works here, because why wouldn't it? Monster Hunter actually does lend itself very nicely to this same kind of augmented RPG, phony, wandery experience. You've got solid hunting, you've got a solid equipment and skill system in the background that both work for the type of game that it is without being overwhelming or too much. But they give you goals to work towards, farm, and unlock as you go up through your hunter ranks and unlock more of the monsters as they get harder and harder, and everything just kind of feels, as I said, Monster Hunter in essence, but in miniature, but no less compelling because of it. I could definitely see a world where eventually you do tire of it as you do run out of hooks, because yes, it lacks the immense depth that actual Monster Hunter does, but it's also designed to be played for like 5 to 20 minutes at a time, so I don't think that's as fair as a comparison. And really, I am just pleasantly surprised at how much everything makes sense. My only real complaint is, I think the tutorial HR1 to HR11 experience is a bit slow, and it takes a little bit of sort of muddling through, but at the same time, you can complete it quite fast if you just go for like a deliberate power walk to do so, but I do think it takes a little while to really get going. The same with unlocking the other weapon options. That takes a while to happen, and if you're going into this being like, yeah, I really want to play like the log saw, that's my jam, it's going to be a while before you can, and I think they should be available a little bit earlier on so you can actually choose and experiment and get a feel for them all as you can in actual Monster Hunter. So finally then, it's time to talk about the Gammoth in the room, and that is the whole Niantic and therefore cash shop angle. And, well, I am pleasantly surprised, which actually describes a lot of my feelings towards this game. I have played a lot of it. I've restarted now for actual launch, and I don't want to show you later game stuff, but a while back I did help test it out, and very much enjoyed my time there too. But when it comes to what's going on paid-wise, well, yeah, it's fine. Like, it really is. So you can have your Palico then, and he will mark monsters with paintballs that you walk past or go past, and then later on you can fight them wherever you are. You can do that yourself manually with paintballs that you acquire. If you see a monster but you don't want to hunt it yet, throw a paintball and then leave, and you can fight it whenever you want. You can obviously then buy these paintballs off the shop if you want to do that more and more. I personally don't think that's a huge deal. I don't think there's many situations I want to stockpile a load of monsters up for later. I'm either playing the game and therefore hunting them, or I'm not too bothered. We also have then range extenders that let your little circle of interactivity increase in size, which is helpful if you are in one place and don't plan on leaving and want to get just a little bit much more, but it's certainly not necessary. Then we have something like Zenny, which you actually get a lot of, and I've certainly not had Zenny problems, especially as you get a huge amount of Zenny from your daily quests if you actually go do them. And yes, quests. There's daily quests to give you more Hunter rank and Zenny. We also have storage then, which gives you, well, more storage, but I have never run into storage issues ever, even much later game. I could see it happening eventually, but if you have played it as long as you need to play it to run into storage issues, then you have had enough good times out of this game to probably justify a storage upgrade. Then, lastly, we have the health potions. This is probably the one that, if any of them, are going to be the talking point. As I said, you cannot play if you don't have health. I mean, that makes sense, otherwise you'd be permanently carted. You get given first aid meds every day. These will heal you. Takes 2 of them-ish to get back to full health. So, if you run out of your supply of potions, and then you run out of health, you've got nothing to do until you can get more first aid meds given to you, can heal up, and continue hunting. So because you can buy potions, you could just tank damage all day, every day, not caring about monster hits, and just brute forcing it with healing and your wallet. But obviously, why would you play like that? It is not necessary. I have literally never ran out of health nor potions, because what you do is you dodge the monster attacks, and then you don't need your health potions. Obviously, sometimes you'll get caught, sometimes you'll commit to a long attack. I'm probably not helping myself playing Greatsword in this, I probably go through more potions than all the other weapons. But even so, this is what I was saying, if you play in a way that, actually makes sense, you are rewarded for that skill by not needing health potions, and therefore not needing to buy any to keep playing past the free ones that you get every day. So in essence then, in my mind, there is certainly stuff here that makes things more comfortable, that is something you could end up wanting, but none of it feels at all mandatory, and none of it accelerates progression in any real crazy way that is unfair to people that don't get it. It's just sort of things that kind of help, I guess, if you really want, and that is nice to see. I, again, can't speak for the future, we know how Pokemon Go went, but for right now, the cash shop is not, in my mind, predatory, and the game itself is really fun and satisfying, and on those 2 merits, well, yeah, a really cool Monster Hunter mobile experience that is compelling in ways that I didn't expect it to be, that does a great job of capturing Monster Hunter in small, simplified format. It's free, it's worth giving a go to, and I think you'll get some amusement and entertainment out of it at absolute worst, and at best find yourself addicted for months. So that's my kind of thoughts so far. Obviously, if anything changes, if things get oppressive, if they add things that are just downright a terrible way of treating the player base, then I will be here talking about it, as I will always be open and honest with you guys. But so far, so good is the lesson of the day. Alright then, have you got into it yet? Have you started playing? What do you think? And let me know. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. And until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.